Okay, today we're going to be taking a look at section 6.5, which deals with linear inequalities. So hopefully by the end of this section you can say I can graph a linear equality in two variables, and I can use linear equalities when modeling real life situations. So the first thing we need to do, we need to talk about what it means to be a solution of an inequality with two variables. So a solution, again, is simply an ordered pair or a value that makes a statement true. So in this case, we're checking to see, does the ordered pair 4, -2 work for this inequality? So the y is a -2, so a -2, is that greater than 2 times a 4 plus a 4? So we got an 8 plus a 4, so is -2 greater than 12? And the answer here would be yes. So this is a solution. Okay. If I take a look at this next ordered pair and plug that in, so is 2 greater than a 2 times a -3 plus a 4? So is 2 greater than a -6 plus a 4, which ends up being a -2? And the answer is yes. No, sorry. 2 is not greater than, so this is not a solution. Okay, so then we go down here to this inequality, and if we use these next two values, I would have a -3 times a 4 plus 4 times a -2. Is that less than 8? So I'd have -12 plus a -8. Is that less than 8? Well, yes, because a -20 is less than 8, so we would have a solution here. Okay, if I check a -5, -2, I'd have a -3 times a -5 plus 4 times a -2. Is that less than an 8? Well, I'd have a 15 plus a -8. Is that less than 8? I'd have a 7 is less than 8. So this is a solution. Okay, so the next few slides, we're going to try and set up how to do some new types of graphing. So the first thing we want to do, we want to look back at graphing inequalities on a number line. So if I were to graph this inequality on a number line, I would have put 2, 3, and 4, and I would have used a closed circle, and I would have pointed my arrow to the right. So all of my solutions would be 3 and anything to the right of that. Those would be the solutions of this inequality. Okay, if I looked at the second one, I'd have a 2, a 3, and a 4. I'd have an open circle again, and I'd be pointing to the right. And it's an open circle this time because there is no equal to, so I cannot include 3 in my solutions. Okay, so that's part of the setup. The second part of the setup is we have to think about how we graphed equations with two variables. So equations with two variables, now we're thinking on the coordinate plane. So if I were to graph this, I would have thought, okay, we got a slope of a 2/3. We got a y-intercept of a -4, so I would have started at -4. I would have went up 2 and over 3, or I could have went down 2 and back 3, and I'd have this line right here. So the question is, where are the solutions of the equation located? The solutions of the equation are located on the line. Any point on the line is a solution. So for instance, you could look at the point 0, -4. 0, -4, if I plug that back in, -4 is equal to 2/3 times the 0 minus 4. So 0 minus 4 is a -4. So yes, we know that that is a solution. Okay, so now here's what comes next. So now what if we have an inequality with two variables? How do we graph that? Well, we're still going to look for a slope. We're still going to look for a y-intercept. So the slope is 2/3. The y-intercept is -4. So I start at -4. I go up 2 over 3. So now it's still going to be a line because I still got the equal to. So I've got a solid line. But now we have to think, what's going to be different about this compared to the line that we had right here? And for that, let's think back to these two things. So when I had inequalities, I was pointing an arrow. So similarity is, now here, I'm going to be shading one side or the other of the line. Instead of pointing an arrow, I'm going to be shading. So where would I shade? Well, we decide where our statement is true. So like back here on this, I could have said that, well, I know that 4 is greater than 3, so I know I'm going to point my arrow towards the 4. So we're doing a similar thing over here. We find a solution. So we check the point 0, 0. 0, 0 is always really easy to put in. So I check 0, 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to 2/3 times the 0 minus 4? 0 minus 4, I get a negative 4. Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 4? The answer would be yes. So 0, 0 is the side that we shade on. So where are the solutions located? It's any point along the blue line, and anything above the blue line would be solutions. Okay? So then, let's look at this one. Now I just have y is less than 2x minus 3. So I would, again, start at a negative 3. This time I'll go up 2/3. But now the only difference is now I have no equal to sign. So I'm going to have to do something different. So I take a look at this, and let's look right here. So I've got x is greater than 3. We had an open circle. So the question becomes then, what is similar to an open circle instead of a solid line? Well, the answer there would be a dashed line. So I've got a dashed line. And then I just have to decide where to shade. So again, check the point 0, 0. If it's a solution, you shade on that side. So it's 0 less than 2 times the 0 minus the 3. So I'd have 0 minus 3 is 0 less than negative 3. And the answer would be no. So I'm going to shade, instead of on the side of 0, 0, now I'm going to shade on the other side. Okay. So now, one last one here in this form. So to graph this one, first thing you should be thinking is solve for the y. So I'd have 3y greater than 9 minus 2y. Or 2x, this should be. Okay, so I divide by the 3, and need to have y is greater than a 3 minus 2/3 x. So I start at the 3, I'm going to go down 2/3. Okay, and it would be a dashed line again because there's no equal to. So I got a dashed line. And then where would I shade? Well, if I choose 0, 0, and I plug it back into my original, I'd have 2 times the 0 plus 3 times the 0. Is that greater than 9? Well, is 0 greater than 9? And the answer would be no. So I'm going to shade on the other side. Okay, so there would be the graph of that one. Okay, the next one. What if I have just a simple inequality like this? How do I graph that on the coordinate plane? So if it's greater than 3, x is greater than 3, it's going to go through the x-axis. It's going to be a saw or dashed line because there's no equal to. And where are the things greater than 3? They would be on this side. Okay? Similarly, if I had this, y is less than a negative 2. So now I'm going to have a dotted line going through the y-axis at a negative 2, and I would shade below that line because those numbers are less than a negative 2. So hopefully that all makes sense to us, and that is a wrap.